Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters. I welcome you to another episode of the Hype Coach podcast. And boy, you guys know I'm going to bring the fire today because all the content, all the subjects, all the topics that I speak about are ones that I hold very, very true with people who are struggling right now. All my content is really based on not long-term or big marketing research. It's the people who come into my my DMs to ask me a couple questions. It's the people who come into session with a lot of problems, a lot of issues. It's, family members or loved ones around me. These are ones that spark all this interest for these different topics. And this one holds such a strong part and strong place and position in my life. And as it will with you, we find this topic today inspired by a lot of different clients that came into my session over the past couple of weeks. And I'm so excited to give you a different take on everything that you guys are currently dealing with. So what are we going to speak about today? We're going to speak about when your faith in Islam fluctuates, how to reconnect and find your North Star. It touches us in a deeply and fulfilling way. The moments when faith and our connection to Islam fluctuates. You see, life has its ups and downs, and so does our Iman, our faith. Now, if you are not Muslim and you're listening to this, that's fine. We all have a North Star. We have to have a purpose in faith, whether you believe in a different higher power, if you're Buddhist, if you're Muslim, if you're Christian, it doesn't really matter what you are. You need to find your North Star, and I'm going to explain to you why, or reconnect with your North Star. Our connection, I'm going to bring it to Islam, and obviously you guys can dissect it however you need. Now, I will say this topic holds value when you're going through a certain season in your life. Now, not everyone's Iman is fluctuating, and I totally get it, but maybe something might happen in the future that will cause your Iman to fluctuate. It's normal. It's totally fine. So put a bookmark in these reels or put a bookmark in this podcast and maybe save it for a rainy day when you feel like your Islam and your Iman is fluctuating and you can't find the true meaning of your North Star. How do we navigate through these low points? How do we navigate through the low points of our Iman? How do we come back from the times of doubt and distance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If you're going through this, don't worry, I've been there as well. I want you to know that you're not alone. It's actually quite common for people to be going through this as well. That's why I'm speaking about it. This journey that we call life is full of tests, it's full of trials, and it's full of endless mercy and guidance. As you would have known from listening to my last podcast with Sally, there was a point where she explained that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to us, He's going to test us with our health. But nowhere did it say our physical health. It could be our spiritual health. It could be our mindset health. It could be our faith in Islam, our mental health. We are going to be tested at different points in our life. So I want you to know that you are not alone. This journey is full of endless mercy and guidance, even though you're going through the tests and trials that you are going through. You see, we all have moments where we feel disconnected, whether it's through hardship, a tough event, a simple daily grind that distances us from the spiritual core. Motherhood, when you first get married, you're trying to juggle something new, school, when you're studying, maybe you're going through a sense of betrayal as well. Maybe you just have a hectic lifestyle where you're consistently, trying to run to make your prayers on time. It's totally normal. We all have these instances where we feel disconnected. So ultimately, as Muslims, we are given the ultimate North Star, and that's our faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No matter how far we feel from Him, He's always near to us, waiting for us to come back, anticipating your arrival, anticipating your reconnection, waiting, holding on. Because, when you're going through that hardship, I get it. It's so hard to see the North Star. It's so hard to see the journey, the light to the North Star. But remember, in the darkest of times, that's when the stars shine even brighter. So fear not, you are not alone. So let's go into understanding a little bit more about the faith fluctuation. You see, our faith is not static. Even the most pious among us experience times when they're distant from their faith. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ reminded us of this when he said, faith wears out in the heart just as clothes wear out. So ask Allah to renew your faith. And this is a hadith reported by Al-Hakim. So it's totally okay to feel that dip. It's important to recognize it and understand it as it's part of the process. Think of your faith as a muscle. Just like any muscle in the body, it needs to be consistently nourished and strengthened. And it can also get fatigued if you don't take care of it. So are you taking care of your faith? Or is your muscle fatigued? Does it need identification? Does it need reconnection? Do you need a new program? Some of the most powerful tools, let's go into realigning with your moral compass. One of the most powerful tools that we have as Muslims is the North Star, and the North Star is rooted in the teachings of Islam. It's so important to keep that alignment because it guides every single decision and every single step towards your goal. When you find yourself off course, one of the best ways to realign yourself is by returning to the core values of Islam, removing the complicated parts, going back to what drives you as a person. So think about now, what drives you as a person? Is it compassion? Is it justice? Is it mercy? These are all attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we were created to reflect on these qualities in our actions. So here's something that you can do right now. So take this time, put down whatever you're touching, relax, close your eyes for a moment. I want you to think about the best self, your truest version of you, the best version of you. And imagine you are standing in front of a mirror. And in that reflection, you see the version of yourself that's fully aligned with your faith. What does that person look like? What does it feel like to be in that state? Hold that image close to your heart. This is how and who you are when you are connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even when you are feeling lost, that person is still inside you, waiting to come out. Now let's build that bridge back to the version of yourself. And sometimes it starts with the smallest of steps. Really simplifying it. Really taking it apart. I don't want you to go from 0 to 100 because you're less likely to stay consistent if you go from 0 to 100. I want you to really start really small. So here's the steps to reconnect with your faith. When you're feeling disconnected from Islam, the first thing you need to remember that Allah's mercy is infinite. The Quran says to us, and when my servants ask you concerning me, indeed I am me. I will respond to the invocation of the supplicant when he calls upon me. And that's Surah Al-Baqarah 186. He is not far away. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is closer to us than our jugular vein. So here's where NLP can help, which is neuro-linguistic programming. As you guys know, I have my master's in NLP. So I'm going to teach you how NLP teaches us the power of learning all of this and reconnecting your faith and how you can allocate and change it up and sort of copy paste it into your life that works for you. When you are feeling disconnected, you see, NLP teaches us the power of internal dialogue. Now, what is internal dialogue? Basically, internal dialogue, in a nutshell, is how you speak to yourself every single day or the inner voice that you have. Some people's inner voice is really uplifting and empowering, whereas others are really not. So you want to think about right now your inner dialogue and take some time to actually write this down. Are you telling yourself that you're not worthy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy? That you're too far gone? I want you to challenge the thought. Replace it with something empowering, like I am worthy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's love. I can return to Him at any given time. And I want you to replace the negative with the positive and challenge the thoughts that you have. This is how we rewire our system and rewire our thinking. Your words have power. Use them to reshape your inner reality. Also, I encourage you to engage in small, consistent acts of worship. Start with what you can. Maybe it's just one extra prayer. Maybe it's 5 minutes of dhikr. Maybe it's simply saying while you're sitting down, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. Remember, the Prophet ﷺ said the most beloved of deeds to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are those who are consistent, even if they are small. So think about how you can find ways for dhikr in your daily life. Think about how you can strengthen the small things first. We don't want to go from 0 to 100. We want to start really, really small. Because if you're going to start really, really small, you're more likely to, once you get comfortable with it, you're more likely to habit stack. And you make that even bigger and even bigger. I remember when I was going through a very hard time in my life last year, and I started dhikr. So I put on a morning and evening azkar. I did it before Fajr and after Maghrib, and it went for about 45 minutes. And I would listen to this while I'm doing the dishes, while I'm cleaning up after my kids. I'll put like an AirPod in, and I'll just listen to that. And that really strengthened my faith. I found it sort of a coping mechanism for myself. Like whenever I hear that there's a certain actual dhikr that I listen to, there's a speaker. You know what? I'm gonna find it for you. You guys need to listen to this dhikr on Spotify. It's Morning and Evening Dua and Remembrance. It's by Omar Hisham. His voice is very soothing, and I found that somewhat kind of soothing to the heart. It felt like almost hypnosis. So go on Spotify and look up Omar Hisham, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. He does he reads a lot of Quran. He does a lot of different dhikr. So I found a coping mechanism with that specifically. And my daughter was like, oh, can you please put that dhikr on the one that you do whenever you're doing something? And we made it kind of like a small act of habit, and we do it almost every single day. And not only is dhikr so important as well, it protects you, it keeps your mental health intact, it maintains the tie with your creator. It does so much. So go and listen to that and you'll understand what I'm talking about. The next part is faith as a source of strength for mental health and goals. You see, our faith isn't just a spiritual experience. It plays a massive role in our mental health as well. You see, studies have actually shown that people with strong spiritual beliefs tend to have more resilience in the face of hardship. And I wonder why. It's because faith gives you a greater purpose. It reminds you that everything that you're going through is part of a bigger plan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, indeed with hardship comes ease. When you set goals, whether you're personal, professional, or spiritual, keep your faith at the center ground of it. Ground your faith at the forefront. Your goals don't just become about by just, thinking about it. Your goals don't just become about achieving something in this world, but also growing closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This shift in mindset can make your journey more fulfilling and towards your goals less daunting. Another tool from NLP that's really helpful here is reframing. When something feels hard and you're facing somewhat failure, instead of thinking this is the end, think of it, oh my God, this is a lesson. What can I learn from this, or what can bring me closer to my purpose? What is my intention behind this? Every challenge can become a stepping stone if you choose to see it this way. And when you change from this is the end to this is a lesson, you're ultimately changing the neurological systems in your brain. You're rewiring your system as you say that. You're not only challenging the thought, you're also changing your inner dialogue, but you're also changing your resiliency levels and your perspective. It's a perspective shift from this is the end to this is a lesson. One is a dead end, causes depression, and one is a lesson that causes trust and resilience. You got to think about, how can this bring me closer to my purpose? Because every single challenge can become a stepping stone if you choose it to be that way. You see, yes, I get it. Sometimes life does really, really get confusing. I, for one, am a testament to this. You see this strong person on social media, you see this strong person on YouTube, and in like whenever someone comes like, oh, you're so strong. But the reason why I'm strong is because I have learned Islam through my resilience. I use Islam as a coping mechanism. You see, one of the hardest parts of life, and again, I will tell you again, the hardest points in my life when I was homeless, when I was told that I wasn't going, like my baby wasn't going to make it. When I had my third, they told me that, he has, they told me that he had Down syndrome, he has Edwards syndrome. They told me that he was going to come out sick. I remember my coping mechanism was literally on the prayer mat. That's what I made Islam my coping mechanism. And subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always helped me through it, as he will with you. I know what you're going through is difficult. I get it. I totally understand. And I'm here for you. But I promise you, the vessel that you have, you think about it. Do you really think that you are not worthy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's love? Think about a time in your life where something happened as a miracle, no matter how big, no matter how small. And the funny thing is about these experiences, no one will believe you. Like, we all have experiences and inner experiences within ourselves. If we were to tell someone, well, they wouldn't believe us. They wouldn't believe us. But it happens. Think about a miracle in your life that happened to you. And you can't even fathom, your brain can't even fathom how it happened. But your brain remembers, it doesn't make sense. Scientifically, logically, it doesn't make sense. The next version is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it happen. If you had that miracle happen to you, that is a testament for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's love and guidance for you. That is a connection directly from your Lord. It's not coming from me. It's not coming from the person next door. It is coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly to you. Come back to him. Go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he's always thinking about you. You are his ibad. You are not by any chance forgotten. I promise you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just wants you to turn to him. That's it. Just turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I promise you will renew your faith. You will feel like a brand new person. You will cry out of khushu'. You will cry out of mercy. You will feel the cold fact from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala coming straight from your Lord, down through your mouth onto your heart, cooling it. Every message that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent you to this time, it's not because of you, it's because of him. You're sitting here questioning his mercy for you. He loves you. And you know that. Don't let the shaitan win, dude. Don't let the shaitan win, sis or bro. You are stronger than that. I promise you're stronger than that. Just turn to Allah. Visualizing your return to faith. I want you to go through a short visualization with me. And I want to help you realign with your faith. And if this version helped you in any way, please reach out to me and tell me. All I want you to do is just come with me on this. Leave everything that you know on the side and just come with me on this. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, just let go of any tension in your body. Imagine yourself in a vast desert. You feel lost, wandering with no direction. But then, in the distance, you see a light. It's quite small at first, but when you walk towards it, it grows brighter and brighter. That light is the connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's your connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, as you stand before this light, feel the warmth of his mercy, of his love, of his guidance. You are not lost. You have never been lost. You just needed to turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Turn back towards the light. And now, as you take a step further, imagine your heart filling with peace. Peace knowing that Allah has always been with you, even in the moments of doubt. He has never left you. And as you open your eyes, you know you're on the right path again, walking towards Him. Dear brothers and sisters, thank you for joining me today. Your faith is your anchor. It's your compass in this unpredictable world. It guides you. It shapes your goals. It strengthens your mental health. And even in time when it fluctuates, never forget that you can always turn back to it. You can return to it. Allah's doors of mercy are always open. So take that first step, no matter how small it may seem. I leave you with this quote from the Quran. Whoever puts their trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will be sufficient for them. Surah At-Talaq, verse 3. Trust in Allah and trust in the process. I thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Until next time, may Allah guide us all and may our faith always remain our North Star. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Hype Coach podcast. If you did enjoy this podcast episode, please share it on your socials. You can find me on IG, Safa Al Chami, TikTok, The Al Chami Life, and you can book a personal therapy package at my website, www.thehypecoach.com.au. I look forward to working with you. Let's grow.